Welcome to BioWise with Aanchal. Today we are going to study about the important definitions which can easily be questioned as name the following in your ICSE Biology board examination. Now I have tried to gather some words. I think there are 200 definitions that can be taken from the entire syllabus of ICSE Biology, and this video can provide you a very short time to revise all the definitions in one go. Okay, those who are already there in my channel, I'm very happy that you are with me. Those who are not there, kindly subscribe, share with your friends. It is really going to help. And seeing the response, I will also get the videos on structure, function, location, abbreviations, choose the odd one out, and the category questions. So similarly, we'll move ahead every day with one type of questions for the practice. So let us proceed with the syllabus and the important definitions. In the first chapter, that is structure of chromosome, cell cycle, and cell division, the most important thing is the definition, and you should understand the difference between the chromosomes, chromatid, chromatins, sister chromatids, non-sister chromatids, right? So let us proceed. The first definition is chromosomes. Now, when you talk about the chromosomes, chromosomes are highly condensed structure, coiled ribbon-like structure formed by condensation of chromatin. So this is very important. Chromatin fibers after condensation during cell division. So chromosomes are not visible all the time. They do appear only during the cell division when they condense. Okay. Similarly, the next one, chromatin. The chromatins are fibers, the basic content of the nucleus. Okay. So the DNA is present in the form of chromatin fibers after a series of condensation. Like DNA is a very thin thread-like structure. It first forms nucleosomes. Nucleosomes where they are associated with proteins, and with the proteins, then they form the nucleosome. Nucleosome condense to form a solenoid. Solenoid then forms the what to say rope-like structure, and finally they get condensed into the chromosomes. Okay, so you can see here the chromatin fibers are the complex of DNA and proteins. Okay, they are complex of DNA and proteins, and that condenses to form chromosomes. Next one is chromatid. A chromatid is one of the two identical halves of a replicated chromosome. That is, in the S phase, the replication is done, right? That is, synthesis of DNA is done in the S phase. So during that phase, the chromatin fibers become double, and when there is cell division taking place, that time they condense into chromosomes. And as they condense into chromosome, they duplicate, right? So they duplicate. So they duplicate, and you can see here they duplicate. So this part and this part, this is chromatids. So these are all chromatids. These are all chromatids. Okay, they are all chromatids. Okay, so this is your chromatids. Next one, nucleotide. Nucleotide has got three in it, T in it. So this is for three. There are three things present: the sugar, the nitrogenous base, and the phosphate group. Okay, so there are three things present in the nucleotide. You can say that nucleotide is a nucleoside plus the phosphate group. This diagram makes it very clear. The phosphate is not in the nucleoside. So nucleoside plus phosphate will give you the nucleotide. Okay. Next one is the nucleoside. Nucleoside is sugar and base together, forms a nucleoside. Histones. Histones are the proteins that help यहाँ पे L is missing, that help in coiling and packaging of DNA into structural units called nucleosomes. So histones are the proteins that help in the formation of nucleosomes. Okay. Histone octamer is there, remember? This is one nucleosome. This diagram shows you the nucleosome. 8 histone proteins and the DNA is wound around it, right? Next one is nucleosome. So nucleosome is the basic unit of chromosome formed when the DNA strand winds around the core of 8 histone proteins, right? That is called histone octamer. So nucleosome is the basic unit of chromosome. Always remember, chromosome का basic unit is nucleosome. Nucleotide is the basic unit of DNA. So what is nucleotide is to DNA, histone, that is nucleosome, is to chromosome. Okay. Next one, centromere. The point of attachment of the two sister chromatids is called a centromere. You can see here the structure. This is the centromere. Okay, the point of attachment of the two chromatids. Genes are the specific, very important, huh? Specific sequence of nucleotides. Specific sequence of the nucleotides on the chromosome that encodes for particular proteins and are expressed into particular features of the body, or they synthesize specific proteins in our body. Okay, this is the definition of genes. Next one is homologous chromosomes. The homologous chromosomes are the chromosomes which we inherit from each of our parents. So a pair of corresponding chromosomes of same shape, right? Very important. Same shape, size, one obtained from each parent is the homologous chromosome. If you talk about this chromosome, they are just having the same genes we inherit from each parent, and depending upon which gene is dominant, we talk about the dominant and the recessive gene. Okay. Then autosomes. What are autosomes? Autosomes are the chromosomes which determine autosomes are the chromosomes which determine general features of the body of an organism and are called autosomes. General features means human beings feature, not male or female. Okay, so they are basically what is important for the human beings, not male and female. There are 22 pairs of autosomes, very important to know in human beings. Next is allosomes. Allosomes are those which are required for the gender of the organism. So you can see that sex or gender of the individual is determined by allosomes. And in human, there is only one pair. In male, you have got XY, and in female, you have got XX chromosome, right? So autosomes 22 pairs, 44 in number, allosomes one pair, two in number. Okay, cell cycle. What is cell cycle? Cell cycle is a series of events that take place in the cell leading to the duplication of DNA and the subsequent division of the cell double L cell to produce daughter cells. Okay. Karyokinesis, karyo is nucleus, kinesis is division. So karyokinesis is the division of cell nucleus during mitosis or meiosis, producing two daughter nuclei, right? Now here daughter nuclei is formed, okay? Karyokinesis matlab nuclear division. And cytokinesis is the division of cytoplasm which follows karyokinesis to form two separate daughter cells. Here daughter cells are formed. That is the cytoplasm pinches off and the two cells are formed, right? Synapsis, very important. Synapsis has got cis in it. You can see here, synapsis has got cis in it. So we are talking about crossing over, cell nuclear division, meiosis, prophase 1. Synapse is the in the nervous system. That is neuron attachment, junction between two neurons. Do not get confused. Synapsis, sister. So you are talking about cell division. Synapse is in the neuron. The pair of homologous chromosomes during meiosis 1 is called prophase 1. That is in the prophase 1, it is called synapsis. This is the pairing of homologous chromosome. Crossing over means exchange of genetic material between the homologous chromosomes during synapsis. Okay, exchange of genetic material between the homologous chromosomes during synapsis. Please add this, during synapsis. Okay, that is during synapsis. Don't mind my spelling, please. Write the correct spelling, during synapsis. Okay, then next one is chiasma. Chiasma is the photograph. Remember, it is a photograph taken that the crossing over has taken place. So it is a visible point. It is a visible point of crossing over between the homologous chromosomes during synapsis, or you have to write. Okay, so now in these three words, kindly know the difference. Synapsis is coming together, pairing up. Crossing over is exchange, and chiasma is the point of contact between the two chromosomes. Please remember that is a visible proof that the crossing over has taken place. That is chiasma formation. Okay. Next one, genetics. That is next chapter, genetics. Some basic fundamentals. Now, in this, the first word is genetics. That is the study of transmission of body features from parents to offsprings, and the laws related to such transmission. Genetic engineering, it is a technique in which genetic constitution of an organism is altered by introducing new genes into the chromosomes. So this is one step ahead. Heredity, transmission of genetically based characteristics from a parents to offspring. That is, whatever is getting transferred, the inheritance is being studied under heredity. Then character, any inheritable feature is a character. Example, height. So height is a character, being tall and dwarf is a trait. Okay. Trait is chota, small word. So it is a it's a smaller part of the character. Character is a bigger word. So character may you can talk about blood group, you can talk about height, you can talk about skin color, but trait may you talk about tall and dwarf, you can talk about the blood group may AB or O. These are the traits. Okay. Next one is variations. What are variations? Variations are the small differences observed among the individuals of the same population. That does not make them different species, but there is slight change in the appearance of various organisms, like difference between you and me. Though we both belong to the Homo sapiens species, still we have some differences, some variations. That is called variation. Then you talk about karyotype. Karyotype is basically an arrangement of the um, chromosomes. Arrangement of the chromosomes, that is of the in their size, in the order of their size, that is largest one to the smallest one. Largest one, chromosome number 1, and the smallest one is the Y chromosome in the males. Okay. Next one, genes. This is we have already done. Genes are a specific sequence of nucleotides on the chromosomes and encode for particular protein which expresses the form or some particular feature of the body. Please stick to the definition. What is the alternate form of genes? That is alleles. Now, character is to genes and trait is to alleles. Okay, remember this. Character is to genes and trait is to alleles. The genes are the specific that we have done. The alternative form of genes occupying the same position in the chromosome, that is called locus on the homologous chromosome, affecting same characteristics but in a different way, is called alleles. Like if the characteristic is affecting the height, it will affect the height. Being tall and dwarf is a different thing, right? So they focus on the same character. Then you have genome. Genome is the complete full complement of DNA of an organisms. It's complete set of gene or DNA that an organism has is called its genome. Okay. Moving to the next, genotype, a very important definition. What is genotype? Genotype, the set of genes present in the cell of an organism, the set of genes, or you can write the genetic makeup of an organism is called the genotype. The genetic makeup of an organism is called a genotype. A set of genes present in the cell of an organism is called its genotype. And the observable characteristics which are genetically controlled is called the phenotype. Now, what is observed? Basically, we are the product of genetics and environment. So whatever is expressed physically outside is called the phenotype. Okay. Your blood group, though it is not expressed outside, but it's still a phenotype. The AB blood group, A blood group, B blood group, that is a phenotype. The genetic constitution IA, IB, small I, that is your genotype. Punnett square. The Punnett square is a square diagram that is used to predict the genotype of a particular cross or breeding experiments. Mutation is a sudden change. Very important, children. Mark it important. Is a very important one. The sudden change. There is a difference between mutation and variation. Variation do exist in population, but mutation may not be good, right? So mutation is a sudden change in one or more genes or a number or the structure of chromosomes. A best example is sickle cell anemia. The example of mutation, if it is asked, example is sickle cell anemia. Next disease is hemophilia. Now, hemophilia, if you talk about, hemophilia is a X-linked genetic disorder in which the sufferer are at risk of bleeding to death. This is very important. What happens in hemophilia? Bleeding to death because the blood fails to clot. Right? Here, homozygous female, that is, female generally, it is an X-linked disorder. The generally male are more prone to X-linked disorder because they have only one X chromosome. Right? Another one is Y. So whatever gene is present on X will be expressed in the males. But in case of female, they have got two X chromosomes. So even if a recessive trait is present on one X, the other dominant one will take over and the disease will not occur. But if the female is homozygous recessive, then she will display the disease. Okay. Next one is color blindness. Again, it is a X-linked disorder in which the person is unable to identify colors or differentiate between the colors, especially red, green, and blue. So these definitions define color blindness, what is color blindness, name the disorder, explain the disorder. So you should know of the proper definitions. Sickle cell anemia, it is a blood disease caused by the point gene mutation. So this is an example of a point gene mutation. Okay, it's an example of mutation. Mutation causes the change in the DNA which results in the formation of sickle-shaped RBC instead of spherical and concave RBC, and it leads to clotting of the blood in the blood vessels and decrease the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. In the homozygous condition, it is fatal, but in case of heterozygous condition, it protects against malaria. This is an extra information given to you. You can just write about mutation in the definition. Okay. Next one, polydactyly. It is a condition in which people have more than 5 fingers in their hand and feet. That is a dominant trait, but okay. So people having extra finger is a dominant trait. Then law of dominance. What is the law of dominance? These laws have to be very thorough. They do the question. Now, law of dominance is given in the specimen paper. Law of independent assortment was there in the last year's paper. So chances of segregation of purity of gamete is there in this year. But please be thorough with all the three laws because these three statements have to be written as it is given in the textbook. So what is law of dominance? Out of a pair of contrasting characters present together, only one is able to express itself while the other remains suppressed. The one that expresses itself is a dominant character, and the one which gets suppressed is a recessive character. Now, when Mendel was studying about the law of dominance, that time gene word was not introduced. So he used the word as character and trait. Later on, gene. So dominant gene, if it is asked, you have to write the same definition. The gene, the allele which expresses itself is the dominant allele. And the allele which is expressed only in homozygous condition is a recessive allele. Okay. Law of segregation or law of purity of gametes. This can be explained very well in the monohybrid cross F2 generation. So law of purity of gametes, the two members of a pair of factor, the two members in the pair of factors separate during the formation of gametes. The two members of the pair of factors separate during the gamete formation and they do not blend or mix themselves into different gametes. They are totally independent to go into the gametes. And this and the gamete combine together in random fusion at the time of zygote formation. That is why the reappearance of the recessive trait in the F2 can be explained on the basis of law of segregation of law of purity of gametes. F1 generation of the monohybrid cross as well as the dihybrid cross, F1 generation explains law of dominance. Whichever allele is dominant, whichever character, you can say trait is dominant, that will express itself. Law of independent assortment. When there are two pairs of the characters, the distribution of the alleles of one character into the gamete is independent of the distribution of the alleles of the other character. That means if you are talking about tall plant with a purple flower, then the character tall will not influence the inheritance or the passing of gametes of the purple flower character into the gametes, totally independent of each other, and that is law of independent assortment, and this can be explained by the dihybrid cross. Is that clear? So monohybrid cross, F1 will be law of dominance, F2 will be law of segregation, and dihybrid cross will be law of independent assortment. Next one is absorption by roots. It has many definitions and concepts. Imbibition is a phenomenon by which the living or dead plant cells absorb water by the surface attraction. Actually, absorb ki jagah you can write adsorb also. Okay, instead of B, you can write adsorb because it is a surface phenomenon. Okay, so you can write adsorb also. Then diffusion is a free movement of molecules of a substance from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration when two are kept in contact. This is very important. Diffusion means the movement of molecules will happen till the time they are equivalent on both the sides and the things should be in contact. Like if you if you spray perfume in the room, the spreading of the perfume is a good example of diffusion. Then osmosis is the movement of water molecule. Here is the difference. Osmosis is the movement of the water molecule, right? Is the movement of the water molecule from the region of its higher concentration to the region of the lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Always remember to, you have to write its higher concentration because this its is for water. Okay, this its is for water. So osmosis is the movement of water molecule from a region of its higher concentration. That is water ka higher concentration. That means it is a dilute solution. So water always moves from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution because it is water which is moving. So movement is always from a dilute area to a concentrated area. Where if your cell is dilute as compared to the surrounding, water will be given out. Exoosmosis will occur. If your surrounding is dilute as compared to the cell, then the water will enter into the cell. That is endoosmosis will happen. Okay. Endoosmosis, it is the inward movement of the uh, water molecule through the semi-permeable membrane when placed in hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution is what? That is less concentration, dilute concentration. Okay. Next one, exoosmosis. It is the outward movement of the molecules of that is water molecules through the semi-permeable membrane when placed in hypertonic solution. That is concentrated solution. Okay. Concentrated solution. Concentrated solution, which causes the cell to shrink. Next one, semi-permeable membrane. The semi-permeable membrane is the membrane in which one of which allows the molecule, that is what to say, the molecule, all the molecules cannot pass through the semi-permeable membrane. That is what I want to say. So it is selectively permeable. It is not allowing everything to pass through, but it is allowing only certain molecules to pass through. That is called the semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Next one. Osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is the minimum pressure required to prevent the inflow of pure solvents into the solution across a semi-permeable membrane due to osmosis. Very important. So these are the keywords. Semi-permeable membrane, prevent the inflow of pure solvent or water, right? Minimum pressure. So these are the keywords that tells us that you know the concept. Root pressure is the positive pressure that develops in the plant roots due to continued movement of water inward the cell due to cell osmosis, pushing water up, that is ascent of sap through the xylem. So this is very important. Root pressure do not contribute in much in the taller plants because there the height and the weight, that is gravity, becomes the limiting factor. But root pressure allows around 1 meter to 2 meter tall plants where the water can flow because of the root pressure. Turgor pressure is the hydrostatic pressure exerted by the water against the plant cell wall when the vacuole is filled, maintaining the cell rigidity. Okay, give me 1 minute. Yes. Next one, wall pressure. Wall pressure is the equal and the opposite mechanical pressure exerted by the rigid cell wall against the expanding protoplast due to the turgor development. Now, since there is water getting accumulated in the cell, so the cell does not want to burst. So, cell wall tries to protect the cell from bursting. So, it it applies equal pressure in opposite direction. So turgor pressure towards the cell wall, and cell wall gives wall pressure towards the inner content. So if these two are equal, then the cell is in the constant state. If turgor pressure increases than the wall pressure, the cell will either increase in size, bulge, or burst if it is animal cells. And wall pressure exceeds, then there's a contraction in the cell, shrinkage of the cell will happen. Okay, turgidity, it is a state of the cell. Turgidity is the state of the cell in which the cell wall is rigid and stretched by an increase in the cell volume of the vacuoles due to the absorption of water, making the cell turgid. Okay, this is the turgidity. Next one is flaccidity. It is the condition in which the cell content is shrunken and the cell is no more tight, making the cell flaccid. Plasmolysis, it is a contraction of cytoplasm from cell wall caused due to the withdrawal of water when placed in hypertonic solution. Guttation, the loss of excessive water in the form of water droplets from the margins of the leaves through special pores called hydatodes due to the high root pressure is called guttation. Now, children, these are the complete definitions. If you could write this, it will be great for you. Bleeding, loss of cell sap through the cut portion of the stem is called bleeding. Same as what we have any cut, the blood comes out, but in case of plant, it is the entire cell sap that comes out. So all the dissolved minerals and minerals and all will also come out. The difference between transpiration and guttation or bleeding on the basis of the water lost can also be given. Okay. Hypotonic solution. Now, these definitions are important. Uh, a hypertonic solution is a solution which has lower concentration of solutes and a higher concentration of water relative to the fluid inside the cell. It's a relative term, right? So isotonic solution is a solution which has same relative concentration of water molecules and solute on both the sides of the cell membrane, and hypertonic is a solution which has higher concentration of solutes and lower concentration of water relative to the fluid inside the cell. So kindly, hyper means zyada, hypo is less. Wilting is drooping of leaves due to loss of turgidity due to the excess, okay, this is due to the excess loss of water due to transpiration. Sap, water along with the mineral salt absorbed by the root is known as sap. It is water along with the mineral salts absorbed by the root is known as sap. This sap only oozes out in case of bleeding, right? Ascent of sap refers to the upward movement of water and dissolved minerals from the root to the aerial parts of the plant, primarily through xylem vessels against gravity. This is called ascent of sap. Okay, then you have active transport. Active transport is the transport movement of particles from the region of their lower, this is ulta, lower concentration to higher concentration. Now here the movement is happening in opposite direction against the spontaneous reaction, or which is normally happening, that is higher to lower, generally the molecules move. Therefore you have to spend energy here, and this is a very important keyword, that using energy or ATP from the cell. So active transport is a process of movement of particles from a region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration through a living cell membrane using energy. Please write it properly in the exam. Passive transport. Passive transport is a process of free movement of molecules. Here energy is not required. From the region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration. Next one is girdling. You can see here. This is a now net movement in the active transport. Here the cells are less, here the cells are more. So generally for passive transport, this will happen. But in case of active transport, this happens. And here you have the expenditure of energy. ATP is used. Okay. Here ATP is used to form, what will be formed after the ATP is used? ADP and PI. Okay. ADP and PI. ADP plus inorganic phosphate. Okay, so this is your active transport, and this above one will be a passive transport. Girdling is cutting out the outer surface of the tree, so or a plant. So removal of the circular strip of bark phloem and cambium, around the trunk of a branch or woody plant. This stops the downward transport of food. So accumulation of food happens here. You can see here. Accumulation of food takes place. Eventually, what will happen? The root will not get enough food and the plant will die. So this is actually a method in which instead of cutting the plants, they kill the plants, trees like this. Okay. Next one is transpirational pull, a suction force generated by the transpiration through the leaves, which creates negative pressure in the xylem, which pulls upward from the roots to replace the lost moisture. It's just like a suction pressure created because of transpiration. Cohesion. Cohesion is a mutual attraction between the similar water molecules due to hydrogen bond, which allows water to form a continuous unbroken column within the xylem vessel, ensuring the continuous flow. And adhesion is adhesive between two different substances. So attraction between water molecules and xylem vessels, which helps counteract gravity and prevent the water column from slipping or collapsing under tension. So here the attraction is between two different things, that is water and xylem vessel, and cohesion is between the water molecules because of hydrogen bonding. Correct? Next one, transpiration. Transpiration is the process of loss of water in the form of water vapor from the leaves and the other aerial parts of the plant. The complete definition and very important definition. Exudation, guttation, these are similar words. So loss of water, but exudation can happen in bleeding also, it can happen in guttation also. So exudation is loss of water or other fluids along with dissolved substances directly in liquid form is known as exudation. Exudate is the fluid given out from the cell and it is called an exudate. So this is, you should know. Photosynthesis chapter, photosynthesis, the important definition and the reaction. Okay, photosynthesis is the process by which living plant cells containing chlorophyll convert, now see, these are the important words that must be there. Chlorophyll that convert carbon dioxide, that is your reactant should be there. The product should be there. The catalyst or the energy source should be there into food substances, that is glucose, using light energy, releasing oxygen as the byproduct. So this is your photosynthesis definition. Okay, this is the reaction. Here, if this question comes for 2 marks, then writing this much will give you 1 and writing this much will give you 1. That means writing this is compulsory to get 2 marks. If you don't write this, you will not get a single mark because because photosynthesis is not possible in the absence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Photolysis. Photolysis is defined as splitting of water molecules into hydrogen ions and oxygen in the presence of light. The reaction is also asked in the exam, right? So please write, this is the reaction where you have two water molecules in the presence of photon. Photon again here is very important. If you don't write photons or light, you will not get marks because photolysis need light. 4H plus, 4 electrons and oxygen. So oxygen is given out during the photolysis of water. Photophosphorylation, that is phosphorylation is ATP formation and photo is light. So in the presence of light, ATP is synthesized. So the definition says the process by which ATP is synthesized from ADP and inorganic phosphate in the presence of light is called photophosphorylation. Very important. ADP plus PI gives ATP in the presence of light. This is the photophosphorylation reaction. Polymerization. Polymerization is the process of conversion of many simpler and smaller molecules into a complex, bigger molecule is termed as polymerization. This is the reaction. N molecules of glucose combines to form starch. Destarching. The process of removal of starch by keeping the plant in dark for 24 to 48 hours for the experiment related to photosynthesis. Next one is food chain. Now, there are many questions in the food chain. In specimen paper also you have seen there are questions on food chain. So, you must know that. A food chain is a linear sequence of organisms in an ecosystem through which nutrients and energy are transferred in the form of food as one organism eats another. It illustrates the who eats whom relationship and the dependency of different species on each other for survival. This is the complete definition of food chain. Then carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is a series of biogeochemical process by which carbon compounds are interchanged among the biosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere of the earth. This is the complete definition. Kindly go through it, children. It's important, okay? You should know all this. Thylakoids. Thylakoids are closely packed, flattened, sac-like membranous structures arranged in piles like stack of coins called grana. In the interior of chloroplast, these are the functional units where light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis occurs. Site of light reaction in photosynthesis, right? Then chemical coordination in plants. Phytohormones. Phytohormones are natural chemical messengers produced by plants that control and coordinate their growth and development. Apical dominance. Apical dominance is the phenomenon in which the growth of apical bud suppresses the growth of the nearby lateral buds due to the action of auxin. So in all definitions, you see that I have given the definition along with the hormone that is important for that. Right, so that completes the answer. So even if the examiner has put some marks for auxin, some marks for suppression of lateral buds, you will get your marks. Parthenocarpy, false fruit without seeds. So parthenocarpy is a development of fruit from an ovary without fertilization. This results in the production of seedless fruits such as bananas, pineapples, certain varieties of grapes, watermelon. Okay, ethylene and all auxin is also used for this process. Senescence, death. Senescence is the natural process of biological aging in the plants or plant-like parts like leaves or flowers, characterized by gradual decline in metabolic activities and physiological functions. Okay. Now, if I say that if you go through this video, maybe you don't have to mug it up, but you can listen to this, right? 2 to 3 days or 4 days, mein ek baar you can listen to it and you can see that the definitions that you have learned goes in sync with whatever definition I have given. Tropism is a growth movement of a plant where the direction of the movement, ये very important, huh? Direction of the movement, okay? Direction of the movement, that is important. Direction of the movement of the growth is important, is determined by the direction of external stimulus. So if the movement is happening in the direction of the stimulus, it is positive tropic movement, and if it is happening in the opposite, it is negative tropic movement. So tropic movement is what? Tropic movement is slow directional growth movement in the plants caused by unequal distribution of phytohormones in response to the external environmental stimuli. This is the complete answer for the tropic movements. Then you have phototropism, the directional growth movement of a plant part in response to the stimulus of light. Now, if you learn this definition, you can write this for any tropic movement. Geotropism movement, the directional movement, and that is directional growth movement of a plant part in response to the stimulus of gravity. Hydrotropism, the directional growth movement of the plant part in response to the stimulus of water. Chemotropism, the directional growth movement of plant part in response to the stimulus of chemicals. Example, phototropism shoot, geotropism root, hydrotropism root, chemotropism pollen grains. And here negative, if you talk about phototropism, matlab against light is root. Geotropism negative will be shoot. Hydrotropism negative we have not studied, right? Chemotropism, that is opposite to the chemicals. If it is some harmful chemicals, the growth will not happen in that direction. Heliotropism is a directional growth movement of the flowers like sunflower towards the sun. It always faces the sun. That is also because of the auxin. Okay. Now next is human system we'll start with. That is, we are done with 87 definitions in the plant physiology and genetics and the structure of chromosomes, obviously. So let us see how many are there in the human anatomy. Double circulation, that is a type of circulation in which the blood passes through the heart twice to complete one full round through the body. It consists of two distinct circuits, pulmonary and systemic. Systemic circulation is a longer circuit of blood flow from the left ventricle to all the body tissues via aorta and back to the right atrium via the vena cava. So from where, what is happening? From, to, and what? This is to be covered in the definitions. Pulmonary circulation, the short circuit of the blood flow from the right ventricle to the lungs via pulmonary artery for oxygenation and back to the left atrium via the pulmonary veins. Diapedesis, the process by which the white blood cells squeeze or ooze through the narrow walls of the capillaries to reach at the site of infection in the tissue is called diapedesis. And once they reach, they eat up the foreign particles, that is phagocytosis. The process by which certain white blood cells called phagocytes like neutrophils, macrophages engulf and destroy the foreign particle germs or the cell debris by ingesting them, by eating them, right? So that is phago matlab to eat. Cytosis is by the cell. Okay. Then blood pressure. The blood pressure is the pressure with which the blood flowing through the arteries exert on their walls is called the blood pressure. So whenever there is a ventricular systole, the blood is being pumped out or forced out, there is a pressure on the arterial wall, and that is called the blood pressure. So generally it is by the systolic pressure, by the diastolic pressure. Okay. Next one, pulse. So pulse is here. We can see the pulse here, right? So the rhythmic expansion and contraction of an artery as blood is pumped through it during the ventricular systole is easily felt in the areas where artery is close to the skin surface. So in the radial artery of the wrist, here in the throat, we can feel the pulse. Okay. Next one is the heartbeat. One complete cycle of rhythmic contraction, that is systole and diastole of the heart muscles, is called one heartbeat. So heartbeat has got basically three phases: arterial systole, ventricular systole, and joint diastole. Okay, arterial systole is 0.15 second, ventricular systole is 0.30 seconds, and the joint diastole is 0.40 seconds, making one heartbeat for 0.85 seconds. Okay, so that is your heartbeat. Pacemaker. Pacemaker sinoatrial node is a specialized mass of cardiac tissue in the right atrium that originates the electrical impulse for each heartbeat. An artificial pacemaker is a battery operated electronic device implanted intradermally to regulate an irregular heart rhythm. So, pacemaker, if it is given, it is natural pacemaker or artificial pacemaker. So, you have a natural pacemaker. What is that? Sinoatrial node or SAN, या फिर SA node. Full form can also be asked. Hepatic portal system, a unique vascular connection where the vein starts and ends in capillaries, carrying nutrient-rich blood from the digestive tract to the liver before it enters into the general circulation. Portal system, hepatic portal system is intestine to liver. Okay, liver will take the check, will do the check, and then send it to the general circulation. Next is the excretory. Moving to the next chapter, the excretory system. The important definitions like excretion, the process of removal of metabolic waste, especially the nitrogenous waste, that is urea, from the body, to maintain homeostasis. Okay, so this is your definition for excretion. Next one, ultrafiltration, the process of filtration of liquid part of the blood through the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule under high hydrostatic pressure caused by the efferent arteriole being narrower than the efferent arteriole. Here I have given you the reason also for it. Like the wider afferent arteriole, the arrival happens from a wider section, but exit happens from a narrower section. So there is a kind of pressure built up. So that is ultrafiltration. Osmoregulation is the process by which the body maintains a constant osmotic concentration of the blood by regulating the percentage of water or salt. Do not write maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood. How osmotic concentration of the blood is maintained? That is by maintaining the concentration of water and salt. So water and salt is very important. Okay. So please mark that important. And this water and salt is very important for the answer. Next one, hematuria is a condition in which blood is passed out into the urine. It is often because of the infection or injury in the kidney or the urinary tract. Okay, so this is hematuria. Next one is glycosuria, the presence of excess of glucose in urine, especially observed in the patients suffering from diabetes mellitus. Uremia, a condition characterized by accumulation of excess of urea in the blood due to inability of the kidneys to either filter it out or the kidney does not function, or your own body stops the urine production to conserve water, as it happens in the case of cholera. In cholera, what happens because of the infection of Vibrio cholerae, there is too much of diarrhea, too much of watery stool is being passed out from the body, that the water is lost from the body. It's dehydration, complete dehydration. So, in order to conserve water, your own system stops the urine, that is, absorbs all the water from the urine. So, urine is not passed out. So, that leads to the accumulation of urea in the blood, and the condition is very fatal, as urea, a toxic substance, is accumulated in the blood. Okay. Next one is albuminuria. Albumin is a protein present in the blood, and it should not be filtered out in the urine. In case the kidney is not filtering properly, then this protein also escapes in urine, and the condition is called albuminuria. Dialysis or hemodialysis, an artificial process of filtering the blood of a person whose kidney has failed using a machine, that is called artificial kidney or hemodialyzer, to remove excess water, urea, and other toxins. It works by passing the patient's blood through the dialyzing unit containing a semi-permeable membrane to filter out urea. Okay. Next one, diuresis, very important. Diuresis is a condition characterized by the increased production or excretion of urine. So too much of urine is passed out. Okay, it often occurs after drinking large amount of water or due to the reduced secretion of antidiuretic hormone. So by any mean, if ADH is less, it causes diuresis. It is one of the most important symptoms or common symptoms seen in diabetes insipidus patients, where they tend to have polyuria. Polyuria is multiple times urination. Micturition is a process of expulsion of urine from the urinary bladder through the urethra, that is outside the body. Tubular secretion is the process where certain harmful substances or ions are actively removed from the, actively word is used, matlab energy is used, from the blood in the peritubular capillaries and secreted into the filtrate in the DCT to maintain ionic balance and pH of the body fluids. That is tubular secretion. Diabetes mellitus is a metabolic disorder caused by the deficiency of insulin secreted by pancreas. Diabetes insipidus is a condition caused by deficiency of antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin that is secreted by the pituitary. Okay, the posterior lobe of pituitary. Next one, the nervous system. Stimulus, an agent or a sudden change of external or internal environment that results in the change in an organism or any of its body part. That is stimulus. It is a agent, outside agent, or maybe inside also, like hunger, thirst. These are all internal stimulus. Response, the change in the organism. That is, we are responding against the stimulus. The change in an organism resulting due to stimulus is called response. Impulse, a wave of electrical disturbances or irritability that sweeps over the nerve cell, that is called an impulse. We don't say messages are transmitted, we say transmission or conduction of impulse is the function of neuron. Receptor, the specialized epithelial cells which on receiving the stimulus set up waves of impulse towards the CNS, that is central nervous system. Effector, muscles or glands which on receiving the impulse from the brain or the spinal cord contract or secrete substances. Synapse is the point of contact between the terminal branches of the axon of a neuron with the dendrites of another neuron with the dendrites of the other neuron separated by a gap. I think there is a repetition. Dendrites of the other neuron. Okay, so this is extra. Okay. Children, I'll be uploading this PDF in my WhatsApp channel. Okay. The link of my WhatsApp channel is given in the description. Please follow it for the PDFs. Okay. Separated by the fine gaps. Next one is neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers released by the neuron at synapse to transmit signals to the neuron muscles or glands. Example, acetylcholine. Now, this acetylcholine is generally asked in the exam. What is a neurotransmitter can be asked in the exam. What is nerve? A bundle of nerve fibers of separate neurons enclosed in tubular sheath is a nerve, right? Now, here you can sheath A. Okay. Next one, ganglia. Ganglia are the aggregates of the cyton or the cell bodies of or the nerve cell from which the nerve fiber may arise or enter into. That is made up of cyton. Axon se nerve, cyton se ganglia. Meningitis is inflammation of meninges, the protective membrane surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. Then you have reflex action, very important. An immediate, quick, involuntary. Okay, an immediate, quick, involuntary action in the body brought about by the stimulus without the involvement of the brain is called a reflex action. Conditioned reflex. A conditioned reflex is an involuntary, spontaneous, automatic response brought about due to the previously learned experience that is conditioned. Pavlov did the experiment on conditioned reflex. Okay, we're using the dog and the bell and the food. Reflex arc. A reflex arc is the shortest route that can be taken by the impulse from a receptor to an effector. Then you have sense organ chapter, accommodation. Accommodation is the eye's ability to alter the lens shape or focusing on the object at different distance. So far and near vision is because of accommodation of the eye. Adaptation is light and dark vision is because of the adaptation of the eye. So adaptation refers to the eye's adjustment to the brightness changes via the pupil and the retina. And after image or persistence of vision, also known as after image, is a phenomenon where an image lingers on the retina briefly after the stimulus ends. And this retinal retention, lasting about 1 to 16th of the second, enables motion perception in the film and animations. So basically, there is no concept of video. It is just because of the persistence of vision, you can see the object moving, right? Then yellow spot, also called macula lutea fovea centralis, the yellow spot lies at the posterior pole of the retina, which contains high density of cones, photoreceptor for color vision, and maximum visual acuity in bright light. So maximum distinct vision, or you can say maximum focus area, is yellow spot, a region of maximum vision. Blind spot, no vision. Blind spot or optic disc is where the optic nerves exits the eye. It lacks both rods and cones, not only cones, rods and cones. So no photoreceptor exists there, preventing the image formation or light perception in that visual field region. So no image is formed in that area. So therefore no vision. Endocrine system, what is hormones? What are hormones? Hormones are the secretions from specific cells or endocrine glands in the body and are carried to all parts through blood. But their effect is produced in one or more specific part only. That is, hormones are the chemicals released directly in the blood by the endocrine glands. They are ductless glands. So they release their secretion directly in the blood. From there, it goes to the target site and there it brings out the action. Endocrine glands are the ductless organs that secrete hormones directly in the bloodstream to regulate various body functions. Adrenal virilism is a condition caused by the excessive androgen production from the adrenal cortex, leading to masculinization in females, such as development of mustache, beard, deepening of voice, and even menstrual irregularities. Okay, then hypo matlab less, glycemia means glucose, mia is blood. So hypoglycemia refers to abnormally low blood glucose level, often below 70 milligram per deciliter of blood, causing symptoms like sweating, tremors, confusion, and in severe cases, seizures and coma. Then hyperglycemia, that is increase in the sugar in the blood, glucose in the blood, not sugar, glucose in the blood. Hyperglycemia is elevated blood glucose level, typically above 180 milligram per deciliter of the blood, resulting from insufficient insulin or insulin resistance, leading to symptoms like frequent urination, thirst, fatigue. Diabetes mellitus is a metabolic disorder characterized by chronic hyperglycemia due to defect in insulin secretion, action, or both leading to complication in eye, kidneys, nerves, and heart. This is the detailed definition. I have already given you the definition for mellitus and insipidus. That will also work. Insipidus involves insufficient antidiuretic hormone or kidney response to it, causing excessive dilute urine production and intense thirst and dehydration. Now, children, I have given the definitions in different chapters, though repeated, because these topics are also repeated in the chapters. Okay, so that is why 2, 3 definitions are repeated. Feedback mechanism. Now, feedback mechanism, usually the negative regulate hormone levels where the hormone or its effect inhibits the further release, maintaining homeostasis. A positive feedback amplifies the response temporarily. This is the feedback mechanism. Tropic hormones. Do not get confused with tropic movements and tropism in chapter 7, that is chemical coordination. So, tropic hormones, the hormones which stimulate other endocrine glands to produce their specific hormones, is called tropic hormones. Now, these tropic hormones are released by pituitary gland, and that is why pituitary is the master gland because it can control the release of hormones from the other endocrine glands. The thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, these are all tropic hormones. The reproductive system. Now, what is reproduction? It is a process of producing new individuals of the same kind by sexual or asexual means. Spermatogenesis. Genesis is synthesis. Spermato is sperm. The process of formation of sperm in the seminiferous tubules in the testis in males is called spermatogenesis. It is a process in which the ovum is released from the matured Graafian follicle. Now, here I have missed one important word. Right here, G is missing, right? Typing error, please excuse me for that. Graphian follicle. Okay, the PDF will not have the mistake. You can find the PDF in my WhatsApp channel. Okay, it will be uploaded after the session. Hernia is an abnormal condition caused when the intestine, due to the pressure in the abdomen, bulges into the scrotum through the inguinal canal. Okay. Now, inguinal canal is the same through which the testes descend in the scrotum when the male child is about to be born. Okay, if the descent does not happen, it leads to infertility in men. So hernia, what happens? Basically, the because of the pressure, the intestine moves into the scrotum. So that's a very painful thing that happens through the inguinal canal. Okay. Puberty marks the period when the immature reproductive system of boys and girls mature, becoming capable of reproduction, typically starting around the age of 10 to 13 in girls and 11 to 14 in boys. Menarche is the onset of menstruation in young female at about age 10 to 13, signaling the start of reproductive phase. Menopause is the permanent stoppage of the menstrual cycle in the females, generally in the age 45 to 50, marking the end of the reproductive phase. Endometrium is the inner lining wall of the uterus that thickens during the menstrual cycle to support the potential implantation if it happens. If it does not happen, it sheds and that leads to menstrual flow. Fertilization is a fusion of the sperm and the ovum in the fallopian tube, forming diploid zygote. Implantation is embedding of the blastocyst, that is early embryo, into the thickened endometrium wall of the uterus around day 7 post-fertilization in females. Pregnancy is a condition that is from fertilization through gestation till childbirth, where the embryo develops into the uterus of the female into a full-grown child. Gestation is the full development period of the embryo fetus in the uterus, lasting about 280 days in the human females. Okay, in the human females from fertilization to birth. The next one, embryo. There's a difference between embryo and fetus. The embryo is the early development stage for the fertilization until the end of 8 week, where the major organs form from the zygote. Fetus is the developing young from the 9th week onwards till birth, resembling a miniature human with maturing organs. Umbilical cord connects the fetus to the placenta containing blood vessels that transport nutrients, oxygen, waste between the maternal and the fetal blood. There is no mixing of the blood happens. Placenta is a connecting link between the mother's body and the baby's body. Placenta is a disc-like structure formed from the uterine wall, villi, and the fetal allantois extension, that is finger-like extensions that happens, enabling the nutrient oxygen diffusion to the fetus and waste removal without blood mixing. It also produces hormone. The placenta becomes an endocrine gland also, right? Parturition is a natural process of childbirth at the end of gestation involving uterine contraction to expel the full-term fetus outside the mother's body. Hymen is a thin membrane that partially covers the vaginal opening in the young female before any sexual activity. Okay. Fraternal twins Dizygotic twins develop from two separate eggs fertilized by two different sperm. They share about 50% of their genes like ordinary siblings and may differ in sex or appearance. Monozygotic twins or identical twins is formed from a single fertilized egg which splits into two embryos. They share nearly identical genes and are always of same sex and they look similar. So identical twins are basically monozygotic. In the evolution chapter, the important definition, what is evolution? Evolution is a slow, continuous process whereby complex forms of life have emerged from simpler forms through millions of years. Vestigial organs are rudimentary. Rudimentary matlab not in use, leftover you can say. And functional structures in organisms that were fully developed and function in ancestral forms, such as vermiform appendix in human or nictitating membrane in frog and even in human. Speciation is the evolution of new species from the pre-existing species after a long period of time through the accumulation of favorable variations over many generations. Slowly and steadily, the variations pile up together, give a new characteristics, and a new species is being formed. Next one is industrial melanism, is the selection of dark moth population in polluted industrial areas over the light varieties where dark forms gained camouflage advantage on soot covered trees surviving predation better than the light forms. Natural selection is a process where the organism with favorable variations survive and reproduce more successfully in their environment, passing those traits to the offsprings, leading to gradual adaptation. Slowly and steadily, the better ones start surviving or making up their population. So it is always the nature which selects the fittest. It is survival of the fittest, given by Charles Darwin. Bipedalism is an ability to walk upright on two legs as early human evolutionary adaptation that freed hand for tool use and enabled efficient long distance travel. Then population chapter, population explosion. It refers to the rapid and uncontrolled increase in the population size, primarily due to high birth rates, combined with declining death rates from the better health care and food availability. Demography, it is statistical study of human population with reference to the size and density, distribution, and other vital statistics. Demography is basically the statistical study of human population. Population density, number of individuals per square kilometer at a given time. So numerical questions can be asked. Calculate the population density of a place with this much area. So just divide it by area per square kilometer, whatever is the number of people living, that is the population density. Natality, it is the number of live births per thousand people of population per year. Again, a good concept for numericals. It is number of death per thousand population of people of population per year. Growth rate is natality minus mortality. Contraception refers to the deliberate prevention of conception through artificial methods like barrier, chemical, or surgery that blocks sperm, egg meeting, or implantation. Tubectomy is a permanent sterilization in females where fallopian tubes are cut and tied to block egg transport from ovaries to uterus. Vasectomy is permanent sterilization in males where a segment of each vas deferens is cut and tied to prevent sperm release during the ejaculation process. Intrauterine devices are small plastic metal devices like copper T, Lippes loop inserted in the uterus of the female by doctors to prevent fertilization, implantation, or sperm motility. MTP, that is medical termination of pregnancy, is a deliberate termination of pregnancy using medical or surgical method before the fetus can survive outside the uterus. Population, that is the last chapter. What is waste? Waste is any unwanted substance, right? Waste is, यहाँ पे N is missing. Waste is any unwanted or undesired material resulting from the industrial, commercial, mining, and agriculture operations or from community activities. Biodegradable waste is the organic waste like kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, paper, cotton that can be broken down naturally by microorganisms into simpler, harmless substances. Please mark the definition. It is where do not write the waste which can be degraded in the nature is biodegradable waste, right? Microorganisms, they are decomposed naturally to harmless substances. That is biodegradable waste. Non-biodegradable waste accumulates, it does not decompose. So, non-biodegradable waste includes synthetic material such as plastic, glass, metal, pesticides that resist microbial decomposition and persist in the environment for the long time. Pollution is the introduction of harmful substance or energy form into the environment, adversely altering its physical, chemical, or biological quality. So, by any mean, the quality of the environment is degraded. That is called pollution. Pollutant, anything that causes the degradation is a pollutant. So, pollutant refers to any substances or energy released in the environment that causes harmful effects on living organisms or resources. Air pollution is the contamination of atmospheric air by harmful gases, dust, smoke, or fumes from vehicle industries and other sources, making it unhealthy for life. Smog is a thick fog like layer formed by the combination of smoke and moisture, often containing harmful chemical substances like sulfur dioxide and particulates. Now, sulfur PHUR can be written, okay? Sulfur FUR is also accepted, but write PHUR spelling. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances like chemical pathogens or waste enter the water bodies, making them unfit for drinking, aquatic life, or other uses are also hampered. Sewage is wastewater from household containing human excreta, kitchen waste, soap, often discharged untreated into the water bodies. Effluents are the liquid waste discharged from industries or sewage treatment plants, which may contain toxic chemicals polluting water resources. Oil spills are accidental release of petroleum oil in the ocean or water bodies from ships or rigs, forming a sleek that kills marine life and coats shores. Then thermal pollution is the rise in water temperature due to hot water discharge from the power plants or industries, reducing dissolved oxygen and harming aquatic organisms. Soil pollution is contamination of land with chemical pesticides or waste, reducing soil fertility and making it toxic for the plants and groundwater. Industrial waste consists of solid, liquid, or gaseous byproducts from factories, often hazardous and polluting airs, water, or soil if not treated. Landfills are large pits or sites for burying solid waste designed to contain it, but they can leak toxins into soil and water if poorly managed. Generally, leaching happens whenever there is rain, then the harmful substances can be washed up to the near water body, may contaminate the groundwater, and also may release gases like methane and all. So it is very methane increases the what to say global temperature, global warming, an important gas which causes global warming, right? Biomedical waste includes infectious material from hospitals like syringes, bandages, body fluids requiring special disposal to prevent disease spread. Biomagnification is a progressive increase in the concentration of non-biodegradable toxins like DDT or mercury at high tropic level in the food chain. Biomagnification is generally the planktons will have lesser amount of the metal as it keeps on going into the higher organism in the tropic level in the food chain, it gets accumulated and magnifies. That is called biomagnification. Minamata refers to Minamata disease, a neurological disorder caused by mercury biomagnification in fish consumed by people in Minamata Bay, Japan. Okay, it was first found in Japan. Noise pollution is unwanted or excessive sound above safe levels, causing stress, hearing loss, and health issues in human and animals. Noise is any unpleasant or disturbing sound that disrupt normal activities or cause discomfort. Somebody's music can be somebody's noise, right? Acid rain is precipitation or rain made that is precipitation made acidic by pollutants like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide from industries and vehicles. Greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is a natural trapping of Earth's heat by atmospheric gases like carbon dioxide and methane, acting like a greenhouse blanket. Global warming is a long-term rise in Earth's average temperature due to enhanced greenhouse effect from the human-induced activities. The major greenhouse gases, you all know what it is. That is, whenever the radiations could not escape the Earth because of these carbon dioxide and methane molecules, they are trapped in the atmosphere of the Earth, increasing the overall temperature of the Earth. Ozone depletion is the thinning of the stratospheric ozone layer by CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbon, from refrigerants and aerosol, allowing harmful UV radiations to reach Earth, which may lead to skin cancer and other disorders. Now, Euro-Bharat vehicular, it refers to Euro-Bharat emission standard like BS, that is Bharat Standard 6, which regulates pollutants from vehicles to reduce air pollution in India. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is an Indian government campaign launched on 2nd October 2014 to achieve universal sanitation, promote waste management, and build toilets nationwide and make India ODF free, that is open defecation free. Last, plastic pollution. Plastic pollution is the accumulation of non-biodegradable plastic waste in environment, harming wildlife through ingestion and entanglement, and creating a lot of fuss on Earth. Okay, so this is all. So congratulations, children. You have now mastered 200 essential biological definitions for the board examination, from chromosomes to plastic pollution and beyond. So study well, be well prepared, and keep learning. Thank you so much.